The architecture of love. What if love isn't something you feel, but something you're made of? Not in a sentimental way, not in a romantic way, but literally. Every atom in your body, every memory, every moment of pain or wonder. What if all of it is shaped by a force we've fundamentally misunderstood? We've been taught to see love as a feeling, a fragile emotion that comes and goes, tied to people, moments, places, or memories. But what if that definition is far too small? What if love isn't just part of human experience, but the blueprint behind everything that exists? It sounds impossible, but across time, people have noticed something strange about reality. Even in the middle of conflict, chaos, or suffering, the universe seems to reach for connection. Particles link across space. Life evolves toward complexity and cooperation. Consciousness keeps expanding, searching, caring. Why? Why does everything, from galaxies to nervous systems, seem wired to relate, to bond, to mean something? Some call it gravity, others call it instinct. But what if they're all describing the same thing, just missing the name? What if the glue holding existence together isn't just energy or chance, but love itself? And here's why it matters. If love is more than emotion, if it's structure, motion, and design, then everything changes, including how we see pain, loss, growth, even death. Because here's the hard part. If love really is the force behind everything, then why does life hurt so much? Why do we feel abandoned, betrayed, or alone? Why would a love-built universe allow so much suffering? That's the question we'll face together. And it's not just theory, this is about rethinking everything. Why we're conscious, why we evolve, why we break, and why something deep inside us still longs for more. The forgotten definition. We grow up hearing the word love everywhere, on movie screens, in whispered confessions and heartbreak songs. It's painted as a feeling that arrives when things go right and disappears when they don't. Something fleeting, personal, and soft. But that definition may be hiding something much bigger. Long before psychology, before neuroscience, before the word emotion even existed, love was spoken of as something closer to law than feeling. In ancient Indian philosophy, the sages of Vedanta didn't describe love as a mood. They called it a form of ultimate knowing, an unchanging presence beneath thought itself. In Sufi writings, love wasn't romantic, it was the engine of creation, the fire that gave rise to existence. In early mystical Christianity, love was said to be not just from God, but as God. Not passive, not symbolic, but foundational. These weren't metaphors. They were descriptions, attempts, to explain an invisible force that seemed to pull reality together, from stars to cells to human souls. So how did we shrink that? Over centuries, language shifted. Love was slowly pulled down from the cosmos and boxed into the human heart. Psychology categorized it, marketing exploited it, and somewhere along the way, we began to think of love as a private experience, something you give or withhold, something that makes you weak. But here's the contradiction. The very cultures that viewed love as sacred also saw it as the strongest force imaginable. The only thing powerful enough to dissolve ego, end conflict, and bridge the illusion of separateness. They treated love not as an outcome, but as the origin. So which is it? Is love a feeling that flickers with circumstance? Or something much older, something structural? Consider this. Why does cooperation outlast competition in nature? Why do infants seek closeness before they can speak? Why does even the smallest kindness feel like a return to something true? Maybe love isn't what we feel when we're connected. Maybe it's the reason we ever can connect at all. That shift from emotion to architecture changes everything. It means love isn't something added to life. It's what life is built from. It's not what we find in rare moments. It's what allows moments to form at all. When science touches the sacred for most of history, science and spirituality have stood apart. One deals in data, the other in meaning. But occasionally they start speaking the same language without even realizing it. Take quantum physics. Particles that were once connected can remain linked, instantly affecting each other even across vast distances. It's called entanglement. It defies everyday logic. But what it shows is startling. The universe remembers relationship. Once things are joined, some part of them stays connected, not just emotionally but physically. No one is saying this is love in the way we usually think of it. But it does raise the question, what kind of universe preserves intimacy across space? Physicist David Bohm believed the world we see is only a shadow of a deeper, reality, what he called the implicate order. In his view, everything is enfolded into everything else. No true separation, just appearances of distance. And behind all of it, an invisible wholeness always there. He didn't call it love, but he might as well have. Meanwhile, in consciousness studies, panpsychism is gaining traction. This idea suggests that consciousness isn't something rare, emerging only in human brains. Instead, it may be fundamental, present in all matter, even if only in primitive form. Not thought, not emotion, but awareness, a basic openness. And if that's true, then what we experience as love might not be a human invention, but a cosmic capacity, woven into the very building blocks of existence. Even systems theory, used in biology and ecology, points toward the same mystery. Life survives not because it dominates, but because it coordinates. Species thrive through feedback, cooperation, balance. The strength of the whole is not in how fiercely its parts compete, but in how beautifully they connect. Science doesn't need the word love, but the patterns it describes, entanglement, coherence, relational unity, those are the same qualities mystics have always attributed to it. Maybe love isn't missing from science. Maybe it's hiding in its equations. Unnamed. The paradox of pain. If love is the foundation of everything, why does it hurt to be alive? That question lives in all of us, even if we never speak it aloud. If reality is built on connection, coherence, or compassion, then why are we so often met with grief, betrayal, and silence? Some ancient traditions didn't avoid this question. They placed it right at the center. In the Jewish mystical tradition of Kabbalah, there's an idea called Tzimtzum, the contraction. It begins not with creation, but with a retreat. The infinite, in order to make space for the finite, withdraws. Love doesn't overwhelm. It steps back. And in that sacred space of separation, reality begins. But it also means fragmentation. Shadows, misunderstanding. From a cosmic perspective, suffering isn't love's opposite, it's the cost of freedom, a necessary distance that allows discovery. In Sufi mysticism, separation from the source is described not as punishment, but as longing. The pain of missing something we can't name is seen as a compass, an ache that points back to the real. Heartbreak isn't a flaw in the system. It's the signal that we were built for reunion. Maybe suffering isn't evidence that love isn't real. Maybe it's evidence that love is more real than we understand. The pain we feel in loss, in conflict, in longing, is only possible because something in us remembers a deeper state. One, we've been apart from too long. Pain only exists where connection matters. Grief only exists where love has been. Even loneliness is a signpost. It means we know what closeness feels like. And that changes how we interpret our darkest moments. It means the ache in your chest isn't just biology, it's memory. It means your empathy isn't weakness, it's recognition. And it means that the distance you feel isn't proof that love is absent, but that something in you knows it should be near, on the direction of everything. If the universe began with love and suffering marks where it's been forgotten, then where is it going? There's a quiet idea found in both science and spirituality. Evolution isn't just about survival, it's about increasing complexity, increasing awareness, increasing connection. And what does that sound like if not a movement toward love? From single-celled organisms to human societies, evolution has trended toward cooperation. Not always peacefully, not always cleanly, but the direction is there, toward systems that can care, respond, remember, toward beings that don't just react, but reflect. In developmental psychology, humans grow in stages. At first it's just sensation, then identity, then empathy, then ethics. And beyond that, something else emerges. A sense of belonging not just to a group, but to existence itself. A kind of moral gravity that pulls us toward inclusion, compassion, understanding. Not because we're taught to, but because we evolved to. This isn't wishful thinking, it's structural. We're wired to move toward coherence, toward wholeness, toward a kind of inner alignment that feels unmistakably like love. Even on the cellular level, systems that maintain balance, share resources, and heal themselves survive longer. Nature doesn't just reward strength, it rewards relationship. The trajectory of growth, biologically, psychologically, spiritually, keeps pointing in the same direction. Not toward domination or disconnection or static peace, but toward dynamic, intelligent unity. Love, in this context, isn't the end point, it's the current, the pressure beneath evolution, the arc pulling us toward more honest forms of being, the presence that never left. We tend to think of love as fragile, a passing feeling, a choice we make if the conditions are right. But what if it's the opposite? What if love is the one thing that doesn't depend on conditions? The one presence that never needed to be added because it was never absent? When we look at the universe with cold eyes, we see particles and void. But when we look with presence, with attention, we begin to see something else. Patterns of harmony, echoes of empathy, a pull toward meaning. Not always loud, but always there. Maybe love isn't something the universe occasionally expresses. Maybe it's what the universe is, dense with memory, alive with intention. Not romantic, not sentimental, but precise, relational, enduring. And maybe the reason we feel so distant from it is because we were taught to look for it in feelings, when it was already present in form. The heartbeat before a word is spoken. The moment someone understands you without needing explanation. The calm that returns after grief has run its course. These aren't just emotions, they're coordinates, traces, evidence that something deeper is always trying to reach you. If love powers everything, then your existence isn't an accident. Your longings aren't mistakes, they're messages. The universe remembering itself through you. This isn't the kind of truth that ends with a conclusion. It's the kind that begins with silence. So let it echo for a while. Let it settle. Let it change nothing and somehow everything. If you want to keep walking the line between science, soul, and the questions that never quite let you go, then stay. Thanks for watching.